In our last video, we saw. You don't believe me, do you? She asked. I do, I said and kissed her. She kissed me back with eyes wide open, and I realized then that something was still wrong with her. However, I still loved her, and I always would. Losing your own daughter and recovering from the shock isn't going to be a pleasant experience, but I sincerely hoped she hadn't gone crazy. The next few days went by normally. Lily was less upset. Getting her gift back seemed to bring a new ray of hope in her life. She told me that in one of her visions she saw her abusive brother Will die within a week. Her brother was an abusive leech to both her parents, and it was obvious that Lily wanted him to die. Are you sure this is a vision, and not just your fantasy? I said, expecting her to laugh at the joke. No. He'll die. She said, in a straight voice. My wife was psychic for a short while. Part 2. Her brother did die, and the police are still investigating his murder. Someone had apparently stabbed him in his throat and left him to die in his car. When the police came over to our place for questioning, Lily gave me a look I'll never forget. While the police weren't looking, she looked at me and smiled from ear to ear. She never liked her brother, but even after hearing the news about his death, she wasn't affected. The police went away, but they are still investigating this. I just hope to God they don't come by knocking again. I think Lily is getting happier though. She talks to me more frequently and doesn't cry anymore. Last week, Lily told me that she saw Mr. Hudson, or Badmouth Billy as he was known in the neighborhood, would die. Sure enough, he died the next day with a knife stuck in his spine. I saw Lily happy again when she got to know. Never did I expect the love of my life to be happy hearing about people dying. It seemed that now she expected this, and this was the only thing that mattered to her. The fact that these people whom she knew, who lived barely a block away, were brutally murdered, didn't seem to bother her. It was as if now she knew that they were dead as soon as she told me of her vision. It might seem weird that most of my wife's predictions about people dying were being fulfilled by them being murdered. It's also a weird coincidence that these people were people she wasn't fond of. Rather, she strongly disliked them. So, I know what you're probably thinking. It's her. She's killing these people to fulfill her visions, because after Dorothy's death, she has gone crazy. But I've always loved my wife. I know that whatever Lily is, she is not a killer, and she isn't capable of doing this. I know she's not a killer. I know she's not. Because I am. Poisoning a dog and stabbing 2 men in the dark were easy, and I do it all over again for her. I'll keep fulfilling all her visions if that's what it takes to see a smile on her beautiful face. Like I said, I'd do anything for her. If she said that you were going to die, you would die. I'll make sure you do. If she said that the sky was red, it was red. If it wasn't, I'll paint it red. With your blood. See you next week with new story. Until then, subscribe, share, like.